Hi, I'm Kathleen Yancey, and I'm here today to think with you about how to manage in the current moment. I'm a past president of the Council of Writing Program Administrators, and as I think you know, Mark asked several of us to think with you, really thinking aloud, about how we do manage in the current moment. My plan today is not really to say anything novel. Really, it's to reiterate what it is I think we already know, but I hope that you'll find these reminders useful. Toward that end, I have 5 of them. So the first one is to think of the current moment as a large-scale, unplanned pilot. The reason I like to think about situations like this in terms of a pilot is that pilots give us permission to fail. In my experience, we don't fail, not very often, but it does give us permission to fail, and it certainly gives us permission to learn. I think at the end of the day, when this moment has passed, we'll find that we've learned a lot. I think there's a lot to learn about teaching, about learning, about working with people. And I would hope that we do that. And I think if we approach it as a pilot, we're more likely to do that. And I think it also gives people a sense that it's okay if everything isn't perfect. It's not going to be perfect. A second, I think, is to trust ourselves. That is easier to do sometimes than others. But my own approach is to say, well, if this plan doesn't work out, we'll go to plan B. And a former graduate student who's now a WPA, Scott Gage, at one point, when I said that to him, looked at me and he said, Dr. Yancey, what is plan B? And I said, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. And I think we will. So I think to have enough confidence in ourselves that we will figure out a plan B when that time arises. A third is in terms of curriculum to include students' lives. It might be that we include students' lives by helping them think about connections between their own self-motivated writing and the writing that we're assigning them, or it might be that we ask them to do case studies of real writers as part of their writing work. But the research is very clear that to the extent that we include students' everyday lives and everyday texts in our course offerings and our program offerings, students will be better motivated, and there's actually some evidence that the work will be better. So I think including students' lives now more than ever is an important thing to do. Fourth is to make time for reflection. And by that I mean reflection as individuals, reflections with our colleagues, reflections with students. And the reason is that, again, to reflect, we create some pause time. So we step back, we can take another look, but also it helps us see that we hadn't seen before. It helps us figure out what really is working. It helps us figure out what we need to do next. So I think reflecting is a really important process, a practice, and we need to plan for it because I think it will also help us do a better job. And then last but not least, reach out. It's an interesting thing. People always like resources. And of course, we all want resources to call on, especially in a time of need. But I think sometimes our best resources are right in front of us. I think our students are wonderful resources. Our colleagues are certainly wonderful resources. CWPA is, 4Cs. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful resources. And all we really need to do is tap them. And I hope that as things go forward, you find that these 5 pieces of advice, which I think are pieces of advice that are pretty conventional and that define our practice, are something that are helpful to you. Bye.